Stream of consciousness. Let it fly. It is what it is. Fuck YouTube. Free thought. Maybe talking some truth, maybe talking some shit. Opinions that matter, opinions that don't even fucking matter. Well, there's only one way to sum this up. This YouTube channel, it's whatever. And that's the way I like it. Don't be scared. Just fucking build. In the next two videos, I'm going to point out two things: timing and preparation. All right? Welcome to video 1, time. Exhibit A, Eric July. Now, if you watch Eric enough, you'll hear something that he says with some frequency. Quote, "There's no better time to be a creative." End quote. Let me direct your attention to the latest book I'm reading, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. The book is pretty good. I'm not finished it, but it's pretty good. I highly recommend it. But if you go to page 56, the author gives a list of the 75 richest people in history, supposedly. But I gotta say, the list is missing somebody in particular. Mansa Musa is not on that list. So something is wrong there. But anyway, out of that list of the 75 richest people, 14 of those people are Americans born within 9 years of one another in the mid-19th century. The birth years of these 14 billionaires were between the years 1831 and 1840. Now, hold on to those numbers. In the future years of 1860 and 1870, these same people would be the ages of 20 and 30 years old during the exact time when the American economy went through a complete, and some say, its greatest transformation. Because during the years of 1860 and 1870 were the times when railroads were being built in America, and it was also the emergence of Wall Street. So now 1860 to 1870 is when all of this stuff started going down. That is 10 years, people, right there. And these 14 Americans were born just young enough. At the ages of 20 and 30 years old, they took advantage of that decade. Some of the names on that list are ones the conspiracy theorists know pretty damn well. You got your Rockefeller, your Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, and others. But the point is, 1860 to 1870 people. This displays a universal truth that I've put in numerous videos. Every 10 years, society changes. Not just in America, but the entire world. Now that 10-year truth is something you could depend on, but you have to be young and creative enough, or older and savvy enough, to pay attention to how the times are changing around you. This way you can take advantage. Understand something, people. The reason that the clothes of the 1980s look different from the clothes of the 1970s is because someone who designs clothes came out with different clothes for us to wear. That person or persons pretty much spearheaded an entire fashion movement, and we haven't looked back. Other things happened in the 70s to 80s. Technology improved because someone with brains said this old technology is whack. I'm going to invent the new shit. This is how it works, folks. Everything I'm saying is evident. It's been in your face. The longer you live, the more you're going to see it. It is just the simple truth, which leads me back to Eric July and what he said. There's no better time to be a creative. How did he recognize the time and the moment? That's a good damn question, man. Look at what he's done. You know, it's very possible that we are looking at the next Stan Lee, folks. You're looking at a very forward-thinking man here. Now, he wouldn't be the first, and usually instead of getting up off of your asses and following the lead of these kinds of people, most times people just are content to simply watch them, because most people don't have the courage or the vision to try to ride the waves of change, so to speak. Not everyone is a visionary, but everyone benefits from the visionary's work. Timing, folks. Timing. The year is 2023, and 2020 was the beginning of the new decade. The events of 2020 set a lot of folks back, so there was a kind of stagnation of creative output. But Amazon took advantage because they had preparation and timing, folks. Amazon had already been locked and ready to go well before the events of 2020. The very start of the next decade, Amazon blew up like crazy. Look at the stock prices in 2020 of Amazon. All of that was due to the pandemic. Now, did they have help? Hell yeah, because it was the United States government who used fear to keep America in lockdown and destroy everyone's livelihoods. The fact is, Americans had a choice but were too scared to see it. So you can't get upset that Amazon took first advantage of the new decade. Timing. I'm going to keep repeating that. Eric July said, there's no better time to be a creative. And if you're wise, you know that the most important time in history is now. This is year 4 since we're counting from the start of 2020. We are almost at the end of year 4. So what clues have we seen that's going to affect some of the culture of the future? Let's look at Disney. Disney has pretty much single-handedly destroyed classic and iconic American characters. The characters were fucked once they were referred to as IPs versus characters. You see, Disney forgot that even though the characters were fictional, they were originally written to have actual souls. You see what I'm saying? That's a testament to the writers of the time. Back in the day, these writers, these were masters, folks. And they did their job so well that we connected to these fictional characters. We knew Spider-Man and we knew Peter Parker. And the character spoke to millions of people over the world. That's the power of good writing right there. You put that one power on the left, good writing, and then you place that with the power of visual art, and you can see how dangerous and socially transformative the combination is. But if you're going to sit back and reduce comic characters to simply intellectual property, you turn them into just cold commodities, you know what I mean? Nothing more. So we began to lose connection with the classical characters we grew up watching. We are falling out of a very real love that we had with these characters. What Disney has done with its formulaic movies is cheapen the characters. Now don't get it twisted, people. All things change. We aren't always going to like the change that happens, folks. But these are the changes that we're seeing right now when it comes to comics and movies. But what you can depend on is that the future is going to be different, guaranteed. And just like the bell bottoms of the 1970s, Disney won't be able to come back to what it was, ever. It can only hope to do better moving forward. Now that's one indicator of the culture of the future and where it's headed. Let's look at another indicator of how the culture is going to change. Here's a question. In your opinion, do you think the Star Wars franchise is dead? Now, Star Wars always walked a tightrope in the first place, if we're going to be completely honest, because at the end of the day, these are people fighting with glow sticks. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we cannot sit back and say that these things are real, that they're fighting with. Lightsabers are just fucking glow sticks. You know it, I know it, let's move on. But the thing is, if you put some heart and a sense of moral struggle and some good writing into the story of Star Wars, that's how the magic happens. The writing has made you suspend belief to where you call these glow sticks lightsabers, and you don't even think a second thought about it. You see what I'm saying? That's good writing right there. That's powerful. You know, I'm old enough to remember the first Star Wars movie and going to see all 3, you know? Listen, I gotta be honest, Star Wars had a hell of a run, man. But the future of Star Wars, it looks dim. And even if Disney's changed their stripes and their entire business model, it'll never be what it was in its heyday. Because that time of Star Wars is gone. And it's time for something new. There's never a better time to be a creative. Look at the times you're in right now as a creative. There's no better time to show the world what it needs to see. And that is the job of every good artist, not to give the world what it wants, but to give the people what they need. You know, there's a saying, cometh the hour, cometh the man. It basically means that when the time comes, there is going to be someone that's going to change the game, that's going to affect the time that we're in. This is the time of connectivity. By using the connectivity of this age, Eric July has found his tribe, because that's so fucking important to do. And that tribe represents the comic readers that have had enough of this shit that's going on. They just want a comic to read that's different from the norm. And the norm has turned into sexualized and political comics. Comic books never represented real life, folks. I mean, for God's sake, Spider-Man is based in New York, but you ain't gonna see that fool swinging over your head in real life any more than you're gonna see some costume crooks outside your damn street one day. Comics are supposed to be a fucking escape. I don't know how these new school writers forgot this shit, but they were ready to sell their talent or lack thereof to the highest bidder and do whatever got them paid, so it makes sense. But see, that's the thing. The fact that those people are losers at their job. It's your game as a creative, and there's no better time than now to be a creative. If you're a comic writer, write it and show it to the world. Let people know about it. Don't worry about living up to Marvel and DC standards because those are no longer valid measuring standards, okay? I measured my writing to comic greats. Roy Thomas, J. Michael Straczynski, Chuck Dixon, etc. There's so many people that have written comics in the past that you can draw knowledge from. You don't take their style. You just learn how the words flow. And you'll notice how every single writer has a different word flow. And then you'll develop your own. You're gonna fail, and then if you're good, you're gonna get up again, you're gonna write some more, and then it's gonna look like shit, and then you're gonna keep doing it until you develop your style. But the whole point is to create new characters, new universes. Star Wars, as I said earlier, it's old. The door is open for a new universe or 10. You understand? Listen, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Space 1999, Star Trek, and all the spin-off series, all of these space dramas and more existed before and during Star Wars. And these franchises and shows are almost all gone. It's time for a new universe, people. And there's no better time to be a creative.